Over the past 2 decades, a lot of information, whether accurate or not, has spread all around the world about Islam, Muslims, and Sharia law. Now, one question continues to pop up. What exactly is Sharia law? I'll be talking about that and sharing 5 of the most surprising myths about Sharia law that people actually have. Hey guys, welcome. I'm Leroy Kenton and this is FTD Facts, where we like to explore the different countries and cultures, religions, sciences, and facts in general about our world. And before I get into this episode, a question that I have for you is, what law or laws do you dislike the most? Let me know down there. So what does Sharia even mean? Well, the actual Arabic definition of the term means path to a watering hole. And the Sharia law is a set of guiding morals and principles meant to guide Muslims towards a life that will nourish their souls. So with that said, I want to get into our first myth, and that's myth number 1. ISIL wants to erase the borders between Iraq and Syria to establish a decentralized government which enforces Sharia law. Now, this is what the standard definition is about what the primary goal for ISIL is. They want to combine 2 countries and enforce Sharia law across them both. But their understanding of Sharia law is not necessarily true to what the law actually stands for. ISIL is more concerned with establishing their own interpretation of Sharia law, which regulates criminal acts and social welfare. So this is why we need to distinguish between fiqh, or the legal system, and Sharia. Fiqh law aims to decide how to apply Sharia's morals and guidelines to day-to-day life, which can cause some gray areas, and it becomes easy for people or even organizations to take advantage of this gray area. Sharia is considered immutable and infallible, but fiqh is changeable. Now, myth number 2 about Sharia law is Sharia is Islamic law. Sharia law is not a legal system, first of all, and most Muslims who follow Sharia law don't view it as a replacement for civil law. Sharia is a Quran-based guidance that guides Muslims towards living a more Islamic life. It doesn't come from the state at all. Sharia is philosophical, and its human interpretation is called fiqh, which I mentioned just now. And this has been created by scholars based on the Quran and Hadith. Next myth, number 3. In Muslim countries, Sharia law is the law of the land. So it's true that Sharia law has influenced legal systems and most Muslim majority countries, right? And pre-modern Muslim regions had a system where Sharia law would be separated from the government, which is also known as siyasa. But what's happening now is that Muslim political movements such as Jamaat-e-Islami in Pakistan or the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt have attempted to actually codify Sharia law, even though there's supposed to be a separation between fiqh and siyasa. And myth number 4, Sharia law is anti-female. Now, critics of Islamic law have said Sharia is inherently not kind towards women, especially because of its marriage laws. And often people see a Muslim woman's head cover as a kind of oppression. Now, while it's true that there are many patriarchal rules in the fiqh, these rules are actually human interpretations, not Sharia. And the final myth that I want to share, myth number 5, is Islam demands brutal punishments. To many, Islam is viewed as a faith that savagely punishes lawbreakers. The Quran, however, prohibits unwanted violence. It prohibits attacks on civilians, property, houses of worship, and even animals. Now imagine what would happen if all of us used the KKK to represent what all Christians were like. Yeah, that would just be weird, right? So like, extremist groups aren't the most accurate place to look to understand what Sharia is and says about punishment and treatment of people. And this also goes for any other subject in question. So guys, that ends this episode. I really hope that this cleared up some misconceptions about what Sharia law actually is. I know it really did for me. And I'm curious to know what other thoughts and comments you have down below. Are there any other myths that you commonly hear about Sharia law, or just other subjects in general that you always hear and you're like, what the heck, that's not even true? Let me know down there as well. And before I go, this episode is brought to you by Grammarly.com. Grammarly, of course, is a world-leading software in improving your written English. The link is down below where you can install Grammarly for free. It takes like 2 minutes max. And it's filled with spelling and grammatical errors that you make constantly all the time. So if you're interested in really mastering your English, even if you're a native English speaker, Grammarly really helps. Again, the link to that is down below where you can install it for free. Hey guys, and before we go, here's a playlist that we recommend on learning more about the different cultures, places, and religions of our world. If you're new to FTD Facts, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you real soon in another video.